So, Dragon Ball. Akira Toriyama's manga and anime, which debuted in Japan in the 80s, and of course eventually would make its way over to the US, and help push anime into the mainstream in America. Dragon Ball is a show so good that I almost wish that I could have had the chance to watch it before Dragon Ball Z. See, I wouldn't get turned on to Dragon Ball Z until sometime in elementary school in the very early 2000s. And yes, Z of course is one of my all-time favorite animes, but there always was some context missing within the show. Later on in the 2000s, after finishing Dragon Ball Z, I would finally make time and go back and watch Dragon Ball. I thought there was no way this show could be anywhere near as good as Dragon Ball Z, with its macho and grandiose battles that were earth-shaking. But I would come to love Dragon Ball for very similar and also vastly different reasons compared to Dragon Ball Z. So, I want to go through saga by saga with Dragon Ball and tell you guys why I love it so much. Here's my thoughts on the Emperor Pilaf Saga. The beginning of Dragon Ball, of course, starts with a teenage girl named Bulma on a quest around the world looking for 7 mystical Dragon Balls that grant one wish. Her dragon radar leads her to the 4-star ball, which is in the possession of a kid Goku, who refuses to let go of the ball because it belonged to his grandpa Gohan and bears the memories of him after his death. The pure innocence of Goku contrasted to the kind of selfish nature of Bulma's quest to wish for a boyfriend, I've always found pretty funny to be the genesis of Dragon Ball. Taking advantage of Goku's innocence and obliviousness, Bulma convinces Goku to join her on her adventure. Kinda cool, but along the road, if you look in episode 2 on the wall behind Bulma, you can see Arale from Dr. Slump. The manga then turned into anime, which launched Akira Toriyama's career over in Japan. After helping their newly found friend, the simply named Turtle, and preventing him from becoming seafood, he introduces Goku and Bulma to possibly my favorite character in all of Dragon Ball, the great Master Roshi. Although one of the largest anime perverts ever, other than Goku of course, Master Roshi is probably the most integral character in Dragon Ball. Essentially, being Goku's teacher, he kinda helps set everything up in Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, Dragon Ball Super. I mean, if not for him, Goku wouldn't be Goku. After acquiring another ball from Roshi through less than clean ways, they come across Oolong, a shapeshifter terrorizing a local village, and convince him to stop what he's doing and join their group. I always liked Oolong and thought he was a funny character, and appreciated his small but important role in this saga. Our group now of 3 come across Yamcha, the desert bandit, and his friend Puar. I really enjoyed Yamcha in the early days of Dragon Ball, when he was still a cool character before the dark days of his future as a meme and laughingstock in the Dragon Ball world. I miss the old days of the good old Wolf Fang Fist. When Goku and the gang reach Fire Mountain is really where some of the lore and mysticism kinda starts to build for Dragon Ball. Hearing the Ox King, this giant axe-wielding behemoth, talk so highly of Goku's grandpa Gohan after learning he's his grandson is pretty neat and makes you wonder what Goku's grandpa Gohan was like, and wonder why he wants Master Roshi, the Turtle Hermit, to come to Fire Mountain. That old coot couldn't possibly put it out himself, could he? My favorite episode of this whole saga is episode number 8, the Kamehameha Wave. Goku and the Ox King's daughter Chi-Chi return with Master Roshi to Fire Mountain, and the build-up to Roshi's resolution to fixing Fire Mountain is great. Roshi bulking up and using the Kamehameha Wave for the first time in the Dragon Ball universe is burned into my brain, and seeing Goku do the Kamehameha Wave on his first try was pretty great foreshadowing for things to come. The Boss Rabbit episode was kind of a fun little filler episode on the side. Seeing Bulma get turned into a carrot was pretty hilarious, and I like it ending with Goku power poling them to the moon. Kind of ridiculous, but fun. Goku and the group are finally introduced to the antagonist of this saga after having their Dragon Ball stolen by Emperor Pilaf, Mai, and Shu. I always really liked these three. I mean, I guess if I had to compare them to something in the Dragon Ball universe, they're kind of the Three Stooges of everything. Emperor Pilaf being the buffoonish leader who wants to rule the world and dominate, but can't think himself out of a box. The ending of the Emperor Pilaf Saga culminates in Pilaf attempting to make a wish from the Eternal Dragon, but having it taken away from him by Oolong in what's, to this day, probably the funniest wish in the Dragon Ball universe to date.
The world's most comfortable pair of ultra soft.
In the final episode of the Emperor Pilaf Saga, the Great Monkey transformation is seen for the first time in the Dragon Ball universe. Seeing this scene is one of those reasons why I wish I could have watched Dragon Ball before Z, because I feel like if I had watched Dragon Ball first, it would have had a much bigger effect on me, because after watching Dragon Ball Z and going back to Dragon Ball, I kind of knew what to expect when I saw the tail. Despite that, still love it, still a great scene. After the destruction of Emperor Pilaf's castle, War cuts off Goku's tail, bringing him back to his normal state. With the Dragon Balls having dispersed around the planet, and Goku having no recollection of what just happened, the Emperor Pilaf Saga ends on a fantastic note with the gang splitting up, and Goku deciding to take up Master Roshi's offer of training. That brings the Emperor Pilaf Saga to a close. It is a pretty basic and kind of simple start to the story, but I do think there are nuggets of intrigue and leaves many questions unanswered. And just like Goku riding his Nimbus Cloud to the Turtle Hermit's Island, I'm very much looking forward to my next anime adventure. Hey guys, ChazmaN here. Just want to say thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you like my content and you want additional stuff, don't forget to go to my Patreon, EnteR_ChazmaN. Thanks for watching. I love you. Be safe.